How you doing today, folks? So this is going to be the review of the Shirogorov knives F95T. To be clear, this knife is sold. It is not sold because it is a bad knife. It is sold because it is an amazing knife. And to be clear, when I first started this whole channel, my goal, my dreams were always to be a positive force in the community, to do the best I can to show my love and respect to my fellow knife nerds and my fellow knife lovers and the EDC community as a whole. And sometimes that involves taking a loss on something. So this knife is sold. It is sold at a pretty considerable loss to myself, but it's sold to somebody who will really and truly love it, who will use it, who will treasure it, and who will be an absolute grail for. He's a man that works hard for his living, same way I do, which I definitely do respect. And I really believe will appreciate this knife for years to come and be able to live in the glory this thing actually deserves. So, with all that being said, if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe to it. I will be doing a pretty crazy giveaway for a knife, about $1,000, maybe a little over than that. I'm not sure yet. When I reach 1,000 subscribers, so please stick around for that. So on to the review of this actual knife. Now, first off, we have a M390 blade. It's an absolutely beautiful kind of bead blast stone wash to it. Very smooth, very nice and polished though. An absolutely incredible screaming sharp edge and incredible edge geometry. Now this knife, to be clear, has been used. I do not have any safe queens, so this has definitely been used. It's been loved. It's not been abused by any means. I'm not going to lie about that, but it's definitely been used. And the edge performs absolutely perfectly. One of the best cutters I've ever handled by far. As far as the actual handle itself, we have this very high quality titanium grade. And this very interesting milling pattern, right? So this is the F95T. T stands for turtle, which is this vaguely kind of like turtle shelly pattern to it. I actually really like this. A great deal. It adds just enough of an aesthetic flair to it to really kind of pop and make it just a little bit more unique. This is definitely not a one-off, but it definitely does stand out among the Shirogorov lines and most knives as a whole. As far as the ergonomics go, it is absolutely phenomenal in hand. There is a slight hot spot right here, which is where the actual lock bar disengages. It's not a super bad one by any means, but it is definitely there. If you do choose to really bear down on this piece, it will definitely have an effect. I have size 2XL hand, so this knife does look smaller. It's because of that. This is by no means a small knife. We have a just under a 4-inch blade, just under 9.3 inches overall. This is definitely a big knife. Now, as far as my overall carry of this piece, this knife carries as an absolute dream. It disappears in the pocket. You have no idea that you're actually carrying it. It is a little bit of weight to it, but it's not bad by any means. Everything is so balanced that when it actually sits in your pocket, it just sits cleanly. The flipper tab, which to be clear, Mixabaz calls a pocket pecker, for me didn't really bother me. If you happen to have a whole bunch of stuff in your pocket jingling around, first off, I would recommend you not carry a knife that costs as much. Just my 2 cents. I do believe that things should be used, but at the same time, putting this knife with a pocket full of change is just kind of disrespectful. But it does carry absolutely phenomenally. The way the pocket clip is designed makes it to where everything sits very flush in the actual pocket. It does not shift around, doesn't bounce around, doesn't move. So it carries like an absolute dream. I did carry it both in a slip as well as my actual pocket, and I was able to reach into my pocket relatively easily without having any necessarily problems to reach anything else. So it definitely does sit very well. It's very EDC friendly, and personally, I think it carries absolutely phenomenally. Now, Shiros are known for one of their main pieces are the action, and this knife deploys perfectly and just glides down so very smooth. This knife puts the Sebenza to shame in terms of just raw smoothness, right? Because they're knives that will drop harder, that just like fly down, but that's not really, that's not necessarily a good characteristic. People always talk about the Norseman like it's this incredible piece of machinery. And to be clear, the Norseman is a good knife, but it should not drop down like a rocket. If it does that, there's something kind of wrong with some of the overall ergonomics, some of the overall QC control. But this, where everything, it just absolutely glides down very slowly, very cleanly, without any issues whatsoever, is what a knife should be. Now, as far as the nitpicks on this knife, first off, this is a very small one, but this is a $1,000 knife. If you get it direct from the retailer, it can go up to $1,400 on secondary market. And this is the box it comes in. It's not even corrugated cardboard, it's just a regular thing, very flimsy. Like, it's almost nothing. Like, it doesn't make any sense why a knife that costs this much should have this level of care taken with the box. By low level of care taken, I mean they just don't care at all. Now, obviously, it's just a box. It doesn't matter all that much, but for the price point, I'd like to see something a little bit more premium, but at the very least more interesting. Now, the other piece, we have a lanyard hole here, but as you can see, it does not go to the other end. Now, in order for it to go all the way to the other end, it would affect the pocket clip, which might theoretically affect the carry. So I understand why they did it, but you will always have this lanyard sticking out to the side, and it will always kind of have this weird lopsided feel to it. I'm very much a lanyard guy, so I did put a lanyard on this knife, and I immediately took it off again because that is just illogical. It's there because just basically to say that they have one, but it is not by any means functional in the true sense. As far as tying off to the standoffs itself, as you can see, you are very close to the actual standoff. You can get one in there if you want to. You definitely you're going to take a risk on losing your lanyard though. Most people don't care about that, so that's just my personal nitpick. The other problem I have with this knife, again, is this little hot spot we have right here. Over prolonged actual use, it definitely does start to really kind of agitate me a little bit. There is also a slight piece right here. You can't actually see it on camera, but it is just a little bit sharp. This should have been chamfered out just a little bit more. But other than that, this knife really doesn't have too many problems. The flipper tab is very minimal. As you can see, it does not stick out far by any means. It's not some giant piece to it. It's absolutely phenomenal as far as the action goes. Everything drops down very smoothly. It feels incredible in hand. The ergonomics are absolutely phenomenal. Not perfect by any means, but one little tiny hot spot on an otherwise perfect handle. It isn't a deal breaker for me by any means. The clip you cannot feel at all when you have in hand. When I say there's one hot spot, I mean there's just the one hot spot. The clip, which is almost always an issue, is not an issue. And that is absolutely incredible. Now, here are a couple size comparisons for the knife, just so you have an idea of what we're dealing with. Here's a full-size Benchmade Griptilian. As you can see, this is definitely a larger size knife. We're also going to throw up the Spyderco Manix 2. Same thing, definitely a large knife. Couple more, Spyderco Smock. And we're going to go ahead and throw up the Benchmade 940. So, as you can see, it's definitely a bigger knife, but it is somehow still EDC friendly. It is very much a machined very precisely. It is an absolutely fantastic piece. Sorry about the little stutter there, folks. I'm having trouble talking, apparently. But everything fits very well. For the price point of $1,000, could it be a little better? Absolutely. For that price point, most people expect perfection, and I am no different. But even still, it is so close to perfect. It is so heads and tails above almost every other piece that I've carried in my life, and I've carried knives that are well over $1,000, that it really should be recommended and should be noted. The Shirogorov name is known for a reason. A lot of people never get to handle them, or they just don't have any idea, or they're like me, and they're not quite sure if it's worth the money. To be very clear, it is worth the money. You can buy a custom knife for $1,000, $2,000, $10,000, and it might not have the same level of action, the same effortless amount of carry as the Shirogorov knives F95T does. So what it does so very, very well. And if $1,000 is out of your price range, I encourage you, save up. If you buy a whole bunch of Kershaws and a whole bunch of Spydercos or little things that are like between $100 to $200 each, and you add them all up to this, it's not that hard to come into one of these. It's just really not. It might take a little bit of time, but I do encourage everybody to take that extra bit of time and enjoy something, experience something that is truly incredible. Because this knife, in my humble opinion, gets a 98 or a 9.8.5, excuse me, these I can't talk, a 9.8 out of 10 or a 95 out of 100, or excuse me, 98 out of 100, really can't talk. This knife is absolutely stupendous. It is fantastic. It is not perfect, but it is so ridiculously close. I'm blown away. I will miss this knife. This is one of those that when the opportunity came to sell it to somebody who really, really loved it, I didn't want to, but I definitely feel the need to give back to the community, so it's gone. Payment's already in process. It'll be shipped up and boxed up momentarily. But as always, folks, I love you all very much. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. I appreciate you all very much. If you see anything on my channel you're interested in, by all means, hit me up. I'll always give fair pricing. Again, my goal is to always to give back to my community because I love you all with all my heart. As always, take care. Do the best you can to be a better person. This life is crazy right now, so love one another and love yourself. Bye.